How you feel about that, Steve?
I'm not feeling good.
Now, you all know me as the guy that comes on here every week and teaches you recipes. But to be a teacher, one must also be a student. So today, I'm joined by my friend and bona fide pasta master, Luca D'onofrio.
I'm sucking it in.
To take me to school on a pasta we all think we know, the ravioli. He's worked all over the place, including 8 years heading the pasta production at Italy, and has since been consulting for brands and restaurants, including one of the best Italian restaurants in my area. So Luca's in charge today. I, like you, am just here to steal what he knows. Last name D'onofrio?
D'onofrio, yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I knew I was saying it right.
No,
Any
no.
relation to Vincent?
Actually, my father was Vincent D'onofrio. He's just not the actor. Yeah, go figure. Got me out of a lot of trouble.
You know who my father is?
I know. There's no.
Brought some flour for us, correct?
I did. Check this. From Molino Passini, only the finest flour for you.
Okay, so let's weigh this out.
There we go. Pure. 100% pure. 1 kilo.
Biggie taught me that a kilo is 1,000 grams.
I'm gonna give you the exact recipe that I always use all the time for ravioli. It's 350 grams of egg yolk, and then it's 200 grams of egg white.
Oh, what a pain in the
And
ass.
75 grams of water. Yeah.
75 grams of water.
Yeah. I'm putting you to work today. I thought I'd be doing this.
You're going to.
It's like the Italian way.
It's the no-no way.
It is. Yeah, it is.
So for 1 kilo of flour, Luca told me to crack 2 dozen eggs. So then I'm gonna fish out the egg yolks and add them till it weighs to about 350 grams. And this is definitely for a bigger batch of dough, maybe for a family of 8 to 10. Otherwise, you could cut this in half.
I haven't had this level of quiet in my life in a long time. I hear myself breathe.
That's why I live here. Then his recipe calls for 200 grams of the egg white.
There's some white in there, so let's do, I think, like 175 grams of egg white. I'll just hold it back a little bit. There you go.
Doesn't have to be precise.
And then we could do about 75, 80 grams of water, I think.
Then I like to beat the egg yolk first. Then we can make a well out of the flour. Once that well is nice and deep and big enough for the eggs, you can pour the eggs right into the middle of it. And I'm gonna get this started here. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the dough, and I'm gonna have Luca give me his feedback and critique.
Now?
Now, yeah. Tell
Yeah?
me.
Okay.
What I like to do is take from the bottom, right? Sometimes you see people take from the top, and I feel like that is setting themselves up for disaster because it's just creating like a little crevice where they could just break the mat.
Yeah. I pick off from the edges, so I'll actually go with the fork, like placed vertically, and then pick off from
Like
the
this?
edge. Yeah, the inner edge, yeah. And then as soon as you pick some off into your lake, your reservoir of eggs, start to whip that in immediately. And then do more, a little bit at a time.
It's like, how slow do you need to really go?
The old me would have said go slow and gentle, get it really homogeneous. But honestly, you can start fast and then finish slow. No, you're doing a great job though.
Not my first rodeo.
I see that.
I get it to the point, usually,
Yeah.
where I know once I break the wall, it won't become a mess.
Ah, I see. Right. It won't spill.
It won't
out.
spill.
Yeah, right. It'll be firm enough. Exactly.
Now we can switch to a bench scraper to cut the flour into the eggs. I like to scrape underneath.
Yeah, me too. It's a very satisfying feeling. Very nice. Good technique. Yeah.
Once a workable ball forms, we can begin kneading the dough. The color is amazing.
Yeah, beautiful eggs, huh? That's looking good.
Get it all in the
Look
middle.
at all that flour going in there. Love it. Yeah, that's good. This is nice. If your wrist is really burning at this stage, like, it's definitely too dry.
Yeah. And that's what I always say, like, that's when experience comes in. That's why I like teaching it to, like, people making, like, a KitchenAid. I'm like, make it with your hands so you know when it's dry.
Right, exactly.
The way I would judge it is how, when it seals,
Yeah.
how it's sealing to the dough, right? So if it's, like, kind of blending into one once it pinches, and then just kind of, like, melting into itself.
Yeah. This amount of moisture is fine. And remember, like, you know, when it rests, it'll give up water molecules it no longer needs. It tends to sweat. It'll relax a little bit.
Then we can wrap the dough, let it rest on the bench for 20 minutes or so, give it one more knead, which my camera did not record, and then another 15-minute rest, and then we're ready to use the dough. All right, so now the dough is rested. Now let's take a look inside. All those little air pockets, that's what you want. That's what we worked so hard to achieve. And it almost has like a gooiness inside. You happy with that?
Oh, yeah. Let me see.
Looks like cheese.
Yeah, it looks like Swiss cheese.
All right, so what's up first?
Well, should we make some tortelli?
Is that the easiest?
I think so.
We're gonna do five. We're gonna do 5 shapes, and we're gonna work from easiest to hardest.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start with a technique that people can actually do at home relatively easily.
Now, while I view making pasta in and of itself an act of therapy, I'm an advocate of talking out my issues and the idea of talk therapy. But in the past, I haven't had great experiences with it. And if you're like me and you've been to in-person therapy, you know how annoying it is sitting in a waiting room, appointments always being delayed, and you just kind of feel exposed. I hadn't really delved back into it until recently, thanks to our sponsor today, BetterHelp. And now I have a way to release the pressure. BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise that may not be available in your area. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire that will ask you questions about what challenges you're going through and what kind of therapist you'd like, and then BetterHelp will match you with a therapist in most cases within 48 hours, and you can schedule therapies at a time that's convenient for you. Best of all, if you don't love your therapist, you can request a new one at any time at no additional charge. So if you want to join the over 4 million people who've used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life, BetterHelp has given my audience 10% off their first month when you use the link in the description or you visit betterhelp.com/notanothercookingshow. Now let's get back into making the pasta. So tortelli is what?
Tortelli is kind of interchangeable with ravioli. When you say ravioli or tortelli, they're more or less interchangeable, and they all refer to pasta ripiena, filled pasta.
Ripiena is filling.
Is filled. Okay, work with a small piece for now, just like that. A little bit of bench flour, flatten her out, nice and gentle by hand. Always the largest setting first. If you're using something like this, then you always want to make the opening as wide as possible and start there, and then move down slowly. The slower you go through this process, the better you can preserve the texture and the air in this dough as well. Again, you can kind of pull this apart by hand a little bit and square it off. And as we get closer to our desired thickness, kind of want to slow it down a little bit and go real gentle. The thinner the dough gets, the more delicate it becomes. Feel it out, see if it needs anything. So it's real supple, but as we go through, two things are happening. It's effectively kneading it a little bit. It's also drying it out.
Is there too thin? Can you go too thin?
You can go too thin, yeah. It's difficult. And remember, when this cooks up, it's going to kind of swell up a little bit in the cooking water too. So how thin it looks here is not quite how thin the final product is.
I think that is something people forget to account for.
Oh, absolutely. So this technique is really easy. So I have my piping bag, just with ricotta, a little bit of parmigiano, a little bit of noce moscato or nutmeg. From the middle, you're gonna start putting down some filling. I would say about 2 fingers worth or spacing from each dollop of filling. Take the edge that's closest to you, fold over, and then very gently kind of pat it down. You don't want to squeeze or push down, and the filling too is also very soft. And now in between, press firmly.
And you're almost using the hard side of your finger,
yeah,
rather than the soft part of it.
At this point, it's a good idea to pick up and move around. Make sure that it doesn't stick to your surface exactly. Now the goal here is to kind of expel as much of that excess air out as possible while simultaneously sealing 2 pasta skins together, right? So you get a nice firm seal. So I go here and kind of square them off. Corner, opposite corner. Thumb and index, and then thumb and index, and alternate. And then I go over the top, kind of smooth it out. And now we go ahead and separate and cut. So I'll just trim off one end and then over the top. And what I tend to do is I feel my finger pad against the filling and follow the top of my finger. So I don't have to look too carefully. Just go right down the line, fold that up. There's some nice maltagliati. We can save that for later.
Maltagliati means badly cut.
Exactly. All right, then trim the other end and then up the middle to make each individual raviolo or tortello. Not bad. Should make some smaller ones. Just a little bit of bench flour here. Get these over here. Okay, closer to me. Again, making sure it doesn't stick to my surface. And then we can do tinier ones or longer ones if we want. Something like this. Make sure you have enough space to actually do the fold over. If you don't, then stop where you are. You don't have to go to the very end. Just make sure you have enough room for everything you want to do. All right, so smooth out. Line up the ends. Okay.
I like the small guys, actually.
Like the little guys? I did too. Same technique though, and then up from the top, alternating your fingers, squaring it off, and making sure you feel the dough sticking to itself and sealing it.
I think I know what I used to do wrong is I used to find some air gets trapped, and I noticed that you do the sides all at once, rather than doing it at each section, so that you have that last opening that pushes the air out.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. You want to finish that up?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Too much? You gotta be gentle. See,
I
get a
fingernails
little...
will get you.
I just cut mine.
Bravo.
Not bad.
Very good.
No bene.
Ah, it's okay. You know, they say,
all right, wait.
Brutto ma buono, you know?
You do
it's
this.
Okay. It's gonna be good.
And this. See, my fingers
I alternate,
wet.
so I alternate actually index and thumb.
Go through them. I want you to judge me here.
This is okay. I think you could have actually pressed down even harder, more evenly. Here you press down firmly, but really you want to press down like nice and even. And then up top, same thing, kind of the edge of your thumb, the edge of your index, and square it off. Oh, that's okay. I would go above, right up top. Beautiful.
And then you hit it with a little...
Yeah, a little bench. Well, you really want the bench floors underneath, right? So when you move them, you want to like, just like what you do with the dough. It's important to get like actually more of the finger pad too here. So you start finger pad and then roll in at the edge of your finger.
I see. So
right?
the finger pad squashes it,
exactly.
The side kind of...
Exactly. So you want to get that in between area to single thickness, more or less, and then roll closer in where the filling is to help seal it and square it off.
All right, so now first shape's made. This is the tortelli. Which shape are we doing now?
I think we're gonna do round ravioli. Same idea, just round. So what I like to do is actually use ring molds, but you need a few different sizes for this. So first we're gonna pick out a ring mold, the back side, and then you pick a size that fits inside this one. That'll be where the filling is, and this will cut. Make sure you have enough size for everything. So get an impression of where things need to be. I could probably fit one top and bottom, and do 2 rows for each sheet. And then we're gonna fill that circle with our ricotta filling. And we're gonna lay this over here. So you stretch out the edges and line them up with the sheet on the underside. Stretch it out a little bit, make it nice and taut all the way around. So first thing we're gonna do, we do that back side of the ring mold and shape out where the filling is. Go around, nice and gentle, and squeeze out. That can help smooth out in between. And now once we have that, we do our other ring mold, press down. So just line it up and then press to cut. And then remove the trim. And then that's it, that's our ravioli. Nice little flower shapes.
Next shape is...
Agnolotti, I think, right?
One of my favorites. I order your agnolotti weekly from Burrata, so...
They're doing a great job.
For this shape, we cut the piece of dough in half lengthwise.
This is, let's see, short rib, pork, sofrito, some herb, a little bit of tomato, parmigiano. Take the end closest to me and start rolling over. Gonna roll over like that.
Technique. Basically starts the same way as tortelli.
Yeah, exactly. I just kind of square that off at the top a little bit. I'm gonna pinch on either side of the filling, then move over to the next one, smooth over the top, pinch, just to kind of keep pushing the air from one side to the next. So you're essentially also going over each pinch twice with each finger. And that last pinch, you just wanna make sure it's sealed. Just make sure it's nice and smooth and even. Just wanna make sure it's not stuck to the surface. Then, not too much trim at the top, let your finger, and then remove. And then up through the middle. And you want little to no bench flour during this whole process.
They're beautiful. Now let me try.
All right, go for it.
A little press there.
Wait, don't press there yet, because you want to have as much space for the air to flow out as possible.
So pinch first?
So actually, same as before with
like
the, just smooth it down a little bit. And now we can start pinching. No, not all of them, just the first one. And smooth over the top, that's what I do, just push the air out to one side.
That feels better. These are way better than the last ones I made. So now what?
Tortelloni.
Larger
Kind of
tortellini.
large, yeah. So we're gonna set up our bicicletta. Let's figure out what size we need.
You just want to cut the pasta dough into roughly 3-inch squares.
So there we go. I'm gonna put some down here. Now we could do this one of 2 ways. We could pick it up and we can fold over corner to corner into a triangle like that. And we kind of just use again the edge of our fingers, right? So we just make sure all the air is expelled.
You compressing the two?
Exactly, into like a single layer, right? And basically what you want to do is push from behind with your index fingers and kind of create a crease on either side. So what you end up is with this. And once you have that, pull the arms apart. And I do around 2 fingers and pinch where it meets back to single thickness again. So what you end up.
So you do 2 fingers just to make the overlap less?
Yeah, pretty much. The other technique we could do is actually keep it right on the bench. We take like so and fold over, and then with 2 fingers, just kind of even it out. So you can press down, make the triangle, then fold over, push down, and you can actually do something like that. And that's just another way to shape them a little bit.
I like holding it.
Me too. It's funny you say that. I actually like picking it up and having more control. But if you want to make them really nice, really pretty, and take your time, that's the way to do it.
We're not cooking for anybody. We take our time.
Sure, there we go. Make it nice. Or make it twice. Oh, man down. Man down. It's still good. No, it's still good. Nice. That's a good one.
Tortelloni's done. Now on to our final shape. Okay, what shape is next? Final
This
shape?
is hardest shape. This is gonna be a challenge. You ready?
I also don't know if I can pronounce the name.
Tortelli piacentini.
Tortelli piacentini.
From Piacenza in Emilia-Romagna. This one's the Swiss chard ricotta.
Is this traditional?
This is, yeah.
Cut the sheet of pasta just like we did for the tortellone. Now you're gonna wanna pay close attention to this technique. It is quite difficult and you're about to see me struggle.
We're gonna make the tail. Sometimes it's called tortelli con la coda. You see how you kind of have like some extra dough here, some slack? You're gonna fold that over a little bit and you're gonna grab that extra and bring it over. Yeah, and bring it over. And you're gonna continue to kind of overlap as you go. So you're gonna take the excess dough and you're gonna overlap it, overlap each corner, and then with every subsequent piece you grab, you wanna cover the following corner
I hear him talking,
until you get down to the end.
but my brain's not processing it. What did I do wrong here?
And we almost have gyoza, I think. And then pinch the end closed. Look at the progression here, though. Look at how much better that one is. That's incredible.
I feel this is the one. If you think you're good at making pasta and you're looking for a challenge, I highly suggest making these.
All right, then. Let's see what you're doing. Let's tweak it up. This is hard. This is not easy.
So Luca continues to, as clearly as possible, try and explain this shape to me, and time after time, I just can't get it. Oh, wow. Best one I just destroyed. Oh my God. And as close as I might seem to get to figuring this out, this is just one of those pastas that I need a lot more practice with. He makes it look so simple, but that's simply just what practice will give you. And so that is the tortelli piacentini. Now we can make it into a dish. So I set up a small pot of water for Luca that he's now seasoning with some salt, along with my 3-quart saucier that Luca adds a few knobs of butter to. And on medium-high heat, we're gonna melt that down. We're gonna add a few leaves of sage, and we're gonna turn that butter into brown butter while crisping up and infusing that sage flavor into the butter. A classic sauce preparation for any of the raviolis that we made today. Then in go the ravioli. We're gonna keep them moving gently and cook for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, just until the tortelli piacentini are floating. By now the sage is crisp and the butter's brown, so Luca just takes it off the heat and then begins to slowly and carefully add the tortelli piacentini to the brown butter, knowing that adding water to hot butter is gonna cause a reaction, so be careful. Once the tortelli are in the brown butter, we're just gonna swirl it around. Luca adds a few knobs of fresh butter to the mix to help it emulsify, a little bit of pasta water, and once that sauce comes together and coats the tortelli piacentini, it's time to plate. You can use this sauce for all the ravioli we made today, but next week, I'm showing you 4 more ways to serve them, so make sure you tune into that. To plate, Luca just adds about 6 or 7 of the tortelli piacentini to the bowl, along with some of that brown butter, and then finishes it with some grated Parmigiano Reggiano, and it's a thing of beauty. Now, what is the filling again?
This is Swiss chard and ricotta with a little Parmigiano. Let's see. Let's see if it doesn't suck.
I actually really like this shape. It's beautiful.
Buono?
È buono. I want to thank you for showing me a few little pointers that are going to just take my pasta to the next level. Appreciate it, and we're probably going to have you back for some more pasta.
Sounds good. Don't have any other pasta makers on this show, right?
All right. I won't tell Nick. I'm going to leave a recipe for the pasta dough and the pasta recipe that we made down in the description. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.